Today, we're talking about something I think a lot of us feel. This sense that the world is just getting, well, meaner.
I mean, have you ever felt that? That little voice in the back of your head that says things are getting worse, that it's just more dangerous out there than it used to be? It's a heavy feeling, right?
Okay, so let's get right into it. What if I told you the source of all that anxiety isn't actually out there in the streets? What if the real problem is right here, on the screen you're probably looking at right now? So, let's kick things off with what some experts are actually calling an epidemic of fear. The basic idea is that as a society, we're kind of stuck in this state of high alert, of constant anxiety, and it's doing something really corrosive. It's destroying our ability to trust each other.
Just think about it for a second. What's your daily media diet look like? You turn on the TV, and it's basically a highlight reel of the worst things people can do. The radio's always blaring out crime stats, and social media, oh man, it's just this endless, bottomless feed of conflict, disaster, and things to be angry about. It's coming at us from all sides all the time.
And when you're bombarded with all that, day in and day out, it starts to mess with your head. It creates this really fascinating but also kind of scary psychological effect. And that brings us to the core of our topic today, the mean world syndrome.
So what is the mean world syndrome? Well, at its heart, it's a cognitive bias. It's this huge gap that opens up between what we think the world is like and what it's actually like. Basically, after we've seen a million violent or scary things on our screens, our brains just start to believe that's the norm. We start to think the world is way, way meaner and more dangerous than the reality. And believe me, this isn't some rare thing affecting just a few people. Take a look at this number. A whopping 70% of teenagers say they've seen real-life violent content on social media. And we're not talking about action movies here. We're talking about actual fights, real threats, genuine violence being served up right in their feeds. And seeing that stuff has very real consequences. It changes how people act. As you can see here, 80% of those same teens say they feel less safe in their own neighborhoods. And even more telling, almost 70% say they're less likely to even leave their homes. That fear on the screen is literally turning into real-world isolation.
And that right there is the big, cruel irony of our modern world, isn't it? These platforms that were designed to connect us all, to create this global village, are actually doing the exact opposite. They're building these invisible walls of fear around us, making us feel more alone than ever.
So the big question is, how did we even get here? Well, to understand that, you have to look at the business models. The systems that power our media, both old and new, are basically built on one thing: getting and keeping your attention. And you know what's great at grabbing attention? Fear and outrage.
You've probably heard that old newsroom saying, if it bleeds, it leads. It's been the guiding principle for a long time. Traditional news outlets figured out decades ago that stories about crime, disasters, and violence, well, they glue eyeballs to the screen. It's a pretty simple and very profitable formula.
And then social media came along and just put that whole idea on steroids. The algorithms are basically designed to create this vicious cycle. You see some shocking or violent piece of content, it makes you angry or scared. That's the moral outrage part. That outrage makes you click, comment, or share. That's high engagement. The algorithm sees that engagement and thinks, oh, people love this, so it pushes it out to even more people. And the cycle just keeps going and going and going.
Okay. Pay close attention, because this might be the most important takeaway of this whole thing. On one side, you've got the picture the media paints, a world that's getting more dangerous by the day. But then you look at the other side, at the actual statistical reality. In many parts of the world, violent crime has been going down for decades. Just let that sink in for a second. Our fear has gone up, while our actual risk has gone down. The gap between perception and reality is just massive.
This all leads to another, deeper problem that academics call epistemic insecurity. Now, that's a mouthful, but the idea behind it is pretty simple and pretty scary. When you're constantly swimming in this sea of fear and outrage, you start to lose trust in, well, everything. You don't trust the facts, you don't trust the experts, and worst of all, you don't trust other people. You just kind of pull back into a defensive shell.
Because if you think about it, what does it take to connect with another person? It takes a bit of a leap of faith, right? It takes vulnerability. But fear is the enemy of vulnerability. It just obliterates it. If your brain is telling you every stranger could be a threat, there's no way you can open up. And without that, you can't build the real connections that hold a community together.
Okay, so that's a pretty bleak picture, I know. It's heavy stuff, but we're not going to just leave you there in the doom and gloom. The good news, the really good news, is that we are not powerless against this. So let's switch gears and talk about what we can actually do. Let's talk about the pathways to getting that connection back. All right, here we go. Here's a simple 4-part toolkit for how to fight back. Number 1, limit your exposure. You've got to curate your media diet. 2, find community. Get out there and connect with people in the real world. 3, practice interaction. Start taking small, safe social risks. And 4, build media literacy. You got to understand how the game is played. So let's dig into those first 2 for a second.
First up, limiting your exposure. Now, this doesn't mean sticking your head in the sand and being totally uninformed. It just means being intentional. Try it. Take a media fast for a day. Go through your social feeds and unfollow those accounts that just thrive on making you angry. You have to be the bouncer for your own brain, you know?
All right, number 2, and this one is absolutely key. You have to find community in the real world. Study after study shows that when we actually work alongside other people on something we all care about, all that fear and prejudice just starts to melt away. So join a club, volunteer somewhere, check out a neighborhood event. These are the workshops where trust gets rebuilt.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? The antidote to all this media-driven fear isn't some clever argument or a new statistic. It's an experience. You can think of trust like a muscle. You can't just decide to have it. You have to build it slowly, one positive, real-world interaction at a time.
When it all comes down to it, it really is a choice. It's an act of courage. It's the courage to look at the fire hose of fear coming from our screens and say no. The courage to believe that, you know what, most people are probably decent, and to give them the benefit of the doubt until they prove otherwise.
So I'll just leave you with this one last thought to chew on. We know the algorithms, the headlines, the whole system, it's all designed to make us afraid and isolated, because that's what's profitable. So, in an age of manufactured fear like this one, maybe the most radical, the most rebellious thing you can possibly do is just choose to trust someone.